Couple things. Thanks for coming today. Please speak up. We're having a little trouble with people hearing and making sure things are recorded properly, so if there's something to be said, please speak up. There's a couple of things on the agenda. We added a section for new business on the village side, in addition to what was published by the town, so our agenda has one extra item on it. So, that being said, first item on the agenda was old business, and it was on there for municipal broadband. And I believe that is the table, correct?
That would be correct. We'd like to do that, yes.
That's the last piece of information I have. So. Okay. Under new business, first item. I'm sorry. No, just kidding. Okay. First item under new business is to discuss a comp plan oversight committee. Asked to add that. No, Carol was involved in that meeting, and I think the ED committee was involved. So, which one of you would like to, Carol?
So, I hope everybody got a copy of like the notes that we made on our recommendation. In going over parts of the comp plan, the ED committee observed that one of the goals and suggestions is that we have an oversight committee to be sure that we're keeping up with what's in there, that we're paying attention to what's been accomplished, what holes there are. You can see the basic background notes on that. We sat down as an ED team, the town and village and me and Jenny, and as we thought about how to do this without making it too onerous for anyone and too protracted, it occurred to us that it's really not just an ED function. The comprehensive plan is in fact comprehensive. It impacts all departments, all aspects of both municipalities. And so that we hope that that oversight can be a bit of a shared responsibility. So it also occurred to us that at least on the village side, we've got some new staff who weren't around, new department chairs, who weren't around at the time that we worked on all this. So what we propose is that understanding of and review of the comp plan be something that is a responsibility of the department heads, so that they are aware of what there is in the comp plan that impacts their area, their purview. So that the idea would be that they would, as at staff meetings, department head meetings, you would sort of keep up with that. Be paying attention to whether initiatives you're doing, projects you're doing, priorities you're following are in keeping with that. Then once a year, it would seem that it would be a little less onerous, as I said, to pull all this stuff together. So instead of it being just the ED committee or just the steering committee, we would gather input from everybody, which hopefully would be just a quick overview from them. So we would reach out to staff, to partners, other committees, and others who are, I was going to say, who are assigned, who are the stakeholders in some of the projects and some of the activities, and just reach out to them and say, where are things, just so that we can identify accomplishments, anything that maybe has become obsolete, we don't need to do it anymore, any gaps, things that we should be thinking about that we weren't thinking about. The Jackie Hicks, when I talked to her, her suggestion was that the oversight committee would include members of the staff that were assigned, including one group that we hadn't included as much was the code officers. So to be sure, code and planning boards were involved in this. This is a big piece of what we're talking about in tax. So the idea is that it be a shared, more of a shared activity, that we do an annual report that would be made to both boards. And the only other thing that came from this committee or this ED team is the observation again that Messer Falls is part of the comprehensive plan, but not really participating with us cooperatively, collaboratively in any way. For example, on the ED consortium or steering committee, the recreation committee, sustainability committee, things like that, even those are being taken account. So I guess we're just looking for reactions to that, thoughts on that, and then that sounds right, or it sounds right with some tweaking, whether how we decide who the people are who are going to actually be on the committee that then once a year solicits input from the staff and partners and the players, and then
If I may,
to add.
can I just add to this?
Mhm.
So the couple other things that we did talk about, this committee would be an informational committee. They wouldn't necessarily have any authority, I guess. I think that's what we talked about. They wouldn't have authority to do anything. They would be basically providing information to everyone else. Kind of thing, so. Right, yeah, and that's, I've got that down as information only. And they meet just a couple of times a year. So whoever's on that committee wouldn't necessarily need to think that they have to spend months and months and months on this every month, or hours and hours of this every month. So, but that's something that we thought about and considered, and I think that makes some sense as well.
You would be responsible for writing the report.
This committee, which we need to figure out between us, who that is, and presumably that would then assign somebody to be the.
I think in other communities, the clerks are part of committees like that, and they are the point.
Well, that wasn't brought up, but that would certainly work and make sense.
So I guess. So this committee is going to be basically in charge of the comp plan and oversee the comp plan, whatever. And they're gonna meet a couple times a year. And
Yeah.
this is the plan that we put together that's supposed to walk us through Canton for the next. I still think that, to me, it still should be under a full-time department. Of, somebody that's available all the time. I can understand, I can see a committee that is making sure that things are moving along or whatever, but I'm just wondering if things are gonna get lost, if it's not part of a department that is somebody in the building.
I think that's the very reason why they're involved through the clerk's office. So they
Well,
are
so-
the base of each municipality.
But if I may, we also talked about the fact that department heads would be, they're responsible for the comprehensive plan, at least they're part of it anyways. So they're already going to be held accountable for those actions that are in the comprehensive plan. So in my mind, and I think, and I don't want to speak for everybody here, but it's on the committee, but I believe we talked about the fact that because of that, this particular committee is just a reporting entity. They're not going to be an authoritative. The authority resides with both boards and department heads.
It is
But-
in fact oversight,
but-
it's just keeping tabs.
Right.
But we also have a responsibility to update the comp plan and keep, it's a revisable, it's a living, breathing document. So would this committee also be responsible for regular recommended updates, maybe a 5-year update, or however that's going to be approached? Is there larger not authority for decision making? The decision making ultimately is the board responsibility. No committee vote on anything. So
We
like,
didn't talk about that, Rob. We didn't talk about that.
We didn't get that in depth.
No, we didn't. It was more the ongoing oversight now, just to be sure we're, nothing's falling through the cracks and that we're keeping up with it. It's not just something on the show.
That would make sense.
I don't know. I'm not sure, because I think it depends on who you put on that, committee, whether that becomes then the committee that does a redo. I'm not sure.
well, I mean, we're, the town right now, we're still undergoing our zoning and code update. And obviously that's going to be the code enforcement officer who's going to make sure the planning board ultimately that sees that through. I don't see why it doesn't have a board member or two from each municipality and then department heads and that's the committee.
And the additional one we thought was, perhaps an at-large person or two who would represent sort of a
Sure.
particular constituency.
Well, look at the breakdown of the way we actually had the comprehensive plan committee and just follow the same model of key stakeholders and bring them in to be part of it. Right? That's how that got off the ground.
And then maybe to your question of, who's gonna do the review later, maybe it would be that committee or people or people they delegate, say, okay. We, the town, are gonna say it's gonna be this, for the village, we the code enforcement.
Yeah,
say it's gonna be
But
this.
to Jim's point, I don't think as a board member, I don't want to be the point, if I'm on this, and I don't want to be on it because I'm already full. But if I were, I would not want to be the reporting person. As a elected official, I think it should be staff, a higher profile staff that actually supports all the departments. Not to say the department shouldn't be on the committee, but the clerks seem to be the natural resting place for the comp plan and everything comes through there. If it's not economic development, then who else is it really, other than the clerks? And it's, I mean, that's a specialty area, so they wouldn't oversee the whole thing.
But I just,
I guess if I may, does it make sense that we contract out to help with the process and be the point person? I feel that departments are maxed out now, the boards are maxed out now. Does it make sense to go back and maybe pay an hourly rate for her to help facilitate this process? We could still have a committee, but I throw that on the table.
We kind of talked about that though, using Jackie as a resource.
It is true, the point person becomes really important, and, Jim and I know from when it was comp plan, and we all know, what we're not trying to do is keep something huge on someone, and one of the ways of not doing that was to have it be more ongoing, have it be something the department heads are keeping an eye on, that, the town and the village department head meetings are thinking about all along, so it's not at the end of the year, you say, oh God, now I gotta read the whole thing and figure out, yeah. I think, I think all this input is very helpful. I think we can bring it back and sort of try to,
well, the other piece we haven't even talked about is the Munster Falls piece. Munster Falls says the Breedsy Department. Exactly, but the thing, who reaches out to Munster Falls and talks to, is it our mayor, our supervisor that reaches out to Munster Falls and says, no, we'd like you to be part of this, can you recommend somebody from your board or yourself or whatever? We were kind of at a loss of how to handle the whole Munster Falls. We want to discuss that.
The supervisor's role.
we have asked.
Well, we have asked Mr. Farley.
We haven't. We've asked, we
We've
meet with
asked-
them, we've invited them to meetings and they the emails came back at.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that last part. What was that last, what was that last?
We had officially reached out maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago and asked to have a meeting, and the email came back as being received.
So this is a new strategy,
Sure.
and I propose that we reach out again.
Yeah.
And
And I
see
was
how-
thinking maybe we try a new path, and we have new board members, and
Yep.
maybe new board members can reach out and take another try at it.
I don't have a preference, you know.
The thing is, what are you asking for? I mean, there's a.
A
there's
meeting,
A meeting, because we're talking about comp plan oversight here, but we're also talking about ED consortium. We're also talking about REC. We're talking about a lot of things that we try to, so that's a separate issue, but it would certainly play into how we solve this.
I think there is a larger discussion to have with them on an agenda, and this being one
One
of
of
those items.
It's no secret for years, everybody thought of telling the village Canton was the town of village Canton. And nobody ever talked about Wilson Falls, and when, they were just over there. And so when we did decide to do the comp plan, we reached out to them and brought them into it, hoping that, you know, we would try to make them inclusive in everything, and you know, and they did, they contributed. They were involved in the comp plan, but there really hasn't been, well, of course, a lot's happened too since the comp plan. I mean, we know what's going on, but, they are a part of the town of Canton. They need to, you know, I agree. I think it needs to be a person.
So I don't know what other things would be on an agenda, but ED, commercial recreation,
Economic
comp
development.
plan. Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, sorry.
Recreation, comp plan. I mean, sustainability committee, a separate kind of a thing, still.
I mean, I think we all signed out, we have a legal obligation on the comp plan to do it, so I think
Yeah.
through the three of us, there's no wiggle room there, period.
I agree, they need to have somebody on the
Yeah.
other side.
I'm wondering if the committee will reach out to Jackie and just have a general conversation as to how much an hour we think, just a global thing, if, we wanted her to be the facilitator of this entire process. How much that would cost.
I am happy to do that.
And could we also consider just inviting Rensselaer Falls to our quarterly joint meetings? Make them try meetings?
Sure.
So that,
They should just be invited every quarter.
Sure.
Sure.
Part of right.
You two want to reach
I'll
out?
reach out.
Yeah.
I'll figure out.
Get a bigger space,
I know, Mike.
bigger space.
We could be creative.
Another
At a
table.
table.
We got a fire department.
We could do it in the Rensselaer Park Library.
No, that's not this.
Okay.
so what I put on here is ED rep camp, comp plan oversight and quarterly meetings.
Yep.
For starters.
I like it.
Anything further?
What I would just like to say is thank you for your input, and if you have further thoughts on the oversight, I will talk to Jackie. If you have further thoughts on that as you cogitate it, get it to anybody on the DB page and we'll review. Anna, did you have anything you wanted to add to any of that?
No, thank you. It sounds like we ended in a good place. Thanks.
Okay, if nothing else on that. Move along, the next item I was asked to add is the CGI digital marketing opportunity. I know that some documents were circulated. Who wants to speak to this? Anna?
Mayor, I can take this. So I hope that the email with the explainer and that the documents made it around to both boards and everybody had a chance to take a look at it. The long and the short of it is that CGI, Carol and I originally met with CGI just to get a sense of what they had to offer. And what we learned is what we have shared. They essentially work with municipalities to create video tours. It ends up being a a series of 5 videos between 30 and 90 seconds long. These are then embedded on our website, shareable in any way that we would wish to do so. And can be used, can be developed along any themes: economic development, recreation, whichever themes we were to decide were most important to our municipalities. So this is a service that they provide to municipalities. It is free to us, because what their model involves is outreach on their, they do outreach to local businesses within the community, and offer them a menu of options for marketing. These options could include videos, or they could include links to their website, that sort of thing. And so what would happen is the businesses that participated would be embedded on the page, the video tour page, for any video that we had created. And so it gives them a little additional visibility as well. Whether businesses take them up on that offer or not does not matter in terms of the 5 videos that they would work with us to create. I can say more about it, but that's sort of the long and the short of it. So the economic development team thought that this was a worthwhile venture to, give us some additional resources for marketing our community. I mean, we've been talking about attracting private investment dollars. We've been talking about, tourism and our recreational resources. This just is another tool at really no cost to us, except for, our time working with them to develop, the themes, approve scripts. The list of businesses that they developed, we would give input on that. So there would be some of our time involved. But beyond that, it seems like a really good opportunity for us. So we wanted, so the village was, I think, we talked about this, Carol and I talked about this, and then the ED team talked about it, and we thought that it really made sense for both municipalities to work together to do these videos, that it just wouldn't make sense to do it in another way. So we wanted to get input and thoughts and questions that we can get answered, etc.
Which I totally don't cost.
The cost that's involved is to businesses, should they choose to, and it's actually pretty reasonable. So for some of our small businesses in town, it would be a pretty reasonable, for them to get a small video ready for just get animals talking about.
And these would be hosted on the town platform, on the town website?
Yep.
Theirs would be on their own too. I mean, if Nature Storehouse did it, it would be theirs.
It would be there.
But it would be on ours as well. It would be.
They provided links, I think, didn't they, Anna?
Yes, so the way it works is that when, say a user was on our website and they clicked to look at one of our videos, the page that they would be taken to would contain like the icons that would link to those businesses. So like a Nature Storehouse would have an icon, and somebody could click and see whatever it was they were linked to. The other thing that I will add is that really what we're doing is contracting for 4 videos. The 5th video is a 30-second video that they actually throw in for free to businesses as well. Well, it's not businesses, it's nonprofits and community groups. So that is if we, take them up on that 5th video, which is really about community and our, the different organizations that we have, then anybody who wanted to participate would be spotlighted for free on that page. So it's sort of an added bonus for some of our.
So the video content for us, would that be hosted on our website, or the links would be on our website to CGI?
The links would be on our website. They will host.
Okay, so all the content they will host.
Yes,
And are they selling ads on their website?
no,
I didn't see it.
no. There's no ad sign.
The only
I'm just trying to
ad,
figure out how they're generating income on
Their
this.
hope is the businesses.
Yeah.
don't have
Yeah.
it.
so that,
Because they're getting, I mean, their product, they're selling their product to the business.
Sure.
Right.
It's actually a pretty innovative business model.
Yeah, I just trying to learn more.
We did ask, sort of about the range of the cost to the businesses, because, you know, hey, if this is something that's gonna be well out of everyone's reach, that's not, you know. But they said that their options generally are somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000. So for some of our small businesses, this could actually be a really good opportunity to get some professional help generating some marketing that they might not otherwise have the resources to do. Of course, there's no way to know, you know, what the effects of, you know, will be, what the results will be if we don't do it, but
And if no one signs up, we still get our video.
correct.
How long was it for us?
how long do they host it?
Oof,
You don't actually, so,
I don't remember that. I can find out.
I'm just curious.
Do we own the video? Or they own the rights to it?
I
And
believe we own the rights. I believe we own the rights, but I can double check that.
produced.
I'm just curious.
Because if it's just a link to their website, it makes me think that they might.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not like it will be embedded on our website. But they're not hosting it somewhere else. I mean, I take it back. They are hosting, but they're not advertising it anywhere else. It's not a link to their website that people follow. It goes to their website. It opens on their website. It would be on ours.
When you look at our website, you see, it would say, welcome to Canton or something, there'd be a picture and you can right there, not on a link.
So it
Right.
being embedded.
And it might
No.
now on the bottom, like a CGI, courtesy of CGI or something like that.
Sure, I mean, they should take credit for doing it.
Right.
I think in the packet that Anna sent out, there are a few, samples in there. They're good ones. They're short, they're punchy. They've got a formula, which is fair, but, you know.
Have we talked to the chamber or anything about reaching out to businesses if we were to go to the next step? Or? who
We
does
have
that
not done.
Recruitment,
They do.
they do all the recruitment.
Yeah, they do all the recruitment.
Anna, did I hear you say that we have the ability to review what is gonna be done?
Oh, 100%. So there would be a 1 or 2 kickoff meetings, you know, around what are the themes that we want for the videos, you know, what are our general ideas. Then they do some script production. They run that all by us. You know, often they use you know, pictures that communities already have, but then they send crews up, and yeah, I think it's all done with our approval and input.
We did talk about it. It's a pretty, you know, they send a pretty good size crew up here to do filming, but like they don't do it for seasons. Whenever they come is when they come. So, but they can use still shots that we have of other things.
February.
Exactly.
But we can provide, like, we talked about that, and you know, we've got the all season. They can take other footage from other.
So what's their turnaround time? Could we get them here for fall?
When we met, excuse me, when we met with them, they spoke about there still being some time, you know, to do this in the summer. That was, I think at this point, maybe close to 2 months now, so I'm not sure. But they did say, you know, from start to finish, I think we're looking, you know, somewhere between 6 to 9 months.
Does an agreement need to be signed? But the formal agreement.
Yes, we would need to reach back out to them and say that this was a joint effort and that there, you know, I imagine there would need to be 2 contracts.
Would they allow us to use these videos to bolster, like the village to bolster the DRI application or other grant options?
100%. Yes, so in fact, that's part of, I think that's really part of their, their suggestion is that we, use these for more than simply, putting them on our website and leaving them, but, obviously, like the Chamber of Commerce, that we, share them with other websites that would get traffic, that would benefit us. Social media, they even talk about embedding them in the signature lines of folks. So I mean, I think the idea is that we would use them as widely as we possibly could.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out and going, we're hearing you very slow. So now we have an internet connection that's unstable. This is gonna happen.
So I guess I think this is it's a pretty magnificent opportunity. However, I would love for them to be here when it's not February. So I don't know if we can impact that at all in terms of timing. Summer of fall would be great. Like if they can video by the end of October, awesome. If they can't start until February,
When she was here, it was like 6 weeks ago, I think, Dana, and she was saying then there was still time in the summer. So I just have a feeling we'll get through it. I look at nothing surprises that.
September would be great because you have students are back, the farmer's market, you have beautiful fall days, and
Yep.
we should pick the time, and that's when we're gonna try
Right.
to do it.
and if
Instead
we
of being
can't
at
get
their
that
mercy.
time,
We wait,
Wait for the next cycle.
yeah, I mean, because September would be primo, you get
I
September
totally
days.
agree. 100%.
Yeah, farmer's markets, Baca, everything's
And
happening in
it's
September.
so robust. Yeah, you're right.
Well, we can get back to her and,
I would like to know if we have 100% exclusive use of them, and then they can't use them without our permission. That's what I'd like to know.
What do you think they use it for?
Is that? would
Who
it be
knows?
in the
I mean,
agreement?
we live in a marketing world where stuff gets shared for all different reasons, but beyond my imagination.
It's
I
a
just,
fair
it's a
question.
simple question.
I know they did provide us with samples of other communities. So they might use them to do a part of the.
Sure.
Or marketing, but it's a fair question.
Mike printed off the agreement, so it might be in the fine print here.
We can find out.
Well, yeah, I would
Yeah.
suggest that, number one, you find out. Number two, Jerry or Eric is going to have to do the same.
Sure. I say we, do we need to vote on it, or can we just give,
No money being.
or can you just say yes? To start moving forward
Bring them in.
for next steps?
Bring them in.
I'm
We'll
good.
take the next step.
I'm excited about this. This could be really great for us.
So I have to tell you, I went into the meeting with Anna. Anna told me about this. You are getting good grades here. And so I went in really with a good view, and just really, it's a very solid program, and they can answer your questions about, what they're doing for the community, what they're doing for businesses, what the business model is. It's pretty impressive.
And the areas of concentration beside, so I guess bringing in the department heads would be good too, because probably the demand for the content is gonna be on their shoulders. Right? Let's say recreation is gonna be the one leading them around, showing them, it's gonna be, we're gonna have to get them on board.
Yeah, that'll be when she was talking to us, she said she had looked at some things and she had gained some ideas from looking at our website and looking at stuff. So I think between their suggestions and our input, we just have to come up with something we all.
Well, it sounds really good. And so we have the municipalities on the agreement.
So I'm just gonna recognize the fact that if it's a possibility for this to happen for September, which would be phenomenal. Are we gonna have to meet as a group again? That's.
Can we, the mayor,
We're not spending any money.
No, we can, we can.
We're not-
Send out to the board.
Did they mention any municipalities that they're currently working with, that work with you?
Yeah, who were the local ones? Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think the same one.
Messina is one. I'm not sure about others. I can, they gave us a bunch of links to other municipalities. I can send that to you.
The same one, there's another one.
Sure.
I'm familiar with this company.
Yeah, so it's easy enough to check on, see
Yeah,
what kind of
really.
results they're getting. Okay.
Bob, one thing that occurs to me is in deciding what our themes might be is our actual DRI application might point us to some of that.
Yeah. I think bolstering grants is good enough for you to do it.
Yeah.
So, okay.
You set? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item that was asked to be placed here was the Economic Development Team recommendation for Town of Canton 2013 CDBG housing. Was asked to place that on the agenda. Who wants to?
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
Mary Ann asked Bob and I to reach out to the ed team. Just to give you a little background, there's approximately $47,000 in an account from 2013. A little documentation of what it is supposed to be used for. So we brought it up with the ed team on what, give us some suggestions of what we could do to try to administer this. So some of the ideas were, could we partner with someone like the Housing Council to administer the program? We obviously need to have an open conversation on this topic. Does it need to be ed team or office administering? Because it is just town money. Find out if there are specific targets for the money. So what came out of this whole discussion was perhaps the town should partner with the Housing Council to administer the program. I have since visited with Mary Ann about this recommendation, and she gave me a little historical perspective. You want to weigh in on this?
Sure, when we discovered the money, and did the research, Lee and I did go down to the housing council and meet with the director to see if there's any documentation there, about the money, about the uses, and they were going to search their records, they did, and they couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything in our records, except that we got the money and it was deposited. So, that was the extent. And then Lee and I had a conversation about, okay, what should we do with it? The town board talked a little bit about it last year, and, under the BOA grant, there's a housing piece, right? And it was my understanding that it was just gonna go back to that subcommittee or, the BOA committee and talk about possibilities of how we could use that money. What would be the best way? So that was over a year ago. And so, we have so many families in need, right? We really need to do something with it. There's my understanding through the housing council that it's up to the town on how they administer. This allows it to it benefits the public, and individuals with housing needs. What those, frameworks would be, we would have to decide. So,
Are there immediate needs at the high rise?
That was another one that came up, and it could all go to the housing authority and not.
Well, we know they've had issues, so I mean, is there anything that they're pressed on at the moment that we could help with?
I think what we talked about that, Bob, but what we thought was, we don't know. We the town board, the village board, the EG team, and so maybe going to the housing council who has a sense of what the housing needs are. And what the best impact would be. Would it be giving lots of people $500 or $1,000 or $5,000 grants? Or would it be given $47,000 to the housing authority and say, it's whatever? But we felt like, I think where we ended up was maybe the housing council is the best one to sort of guide us to how best to. use
Sure.
it.
Was this part of a larger chunk of money?
Absolutely. Don't know, like, most, a lot of them came in $400,000 chunks.
Oh,
And they're usually targeted for a particular area or particular need. I know. Who was. When Ann Ryan was supervisor before me, she had done $400,000. And it was done like a public areas area.
the housing rehabilitation.
Well,
Weatherization
it was-
program or something.
A lot of it was for septic upgrades and, things like that, and some of it was for housing. So I don't know, you should be able to follow the money back, or at least go back to where the source of money. We know the source of money.
We tried.
You can't find the source of money. It's part of the block grant. Pardon? Yeah, and so
I think, can I see?
Yeah. can you
Yeah.
Come up, somebody, anything here, please.
I think it's likely that the housing council's files may have been destroyed when they have mold issues in their basement. I believe that they were the ones that administered at the time. But they don't have records of it because they were lost.
and that's who did the ones back in the 90s.
Right, and they do all the ones for the county.
That's when
I
Fred
think
Hans was there.
Yeah, part of our conversation, I think, too, was that speaking to the housing council, they may have an ongoing program they may have a waiting list. And this may be, it's not a huge chunk of money, so it might be able to supplement something that they're doing. Maybe be part of a match, or something like that, and be better leveraged that way than trying to do something with such a small amount of money. And they would have a better handle on, who's already in that pipeline.
It seemed to make sense to me that they handed. it. My opinion, but it's, it's in the town of Auburn.
A lot of going off the recommendations of how. the Highest and best use of it is.
I would ask, John and Bob to reach out to them, since you're the committee, and maybe have a conversation and some type of recommendation. Yeah. And also the community development program. They have a lot of different programs as well.
Weatherization programs.
Yeah,
They have a long waiting list for weatherization. They could easily identify all of the houses that need weatherization better. I will even saw.
we talk to them too, maybe if those two.
And snap that amount up in no time.
Yeah,
Not a lot of money.
I think it's better leveraged if you can leverage it with an existing program that's already going on. They have people in the Canton Township that could use it. It could just maybe fit right in and just enhance what they're already doing.
Sure.
It seems logical.
I get a few extra.
Yeah. You could do it within the town of Canton. They could identify long towns.
CDP has already good weatherization program. And, they do a good job. It's my city.
Yeah.
Very, very good, so.
They could use that in short order. Weather rights, places.
So I would ask Eric, if we do partner, we have to some type of legal agreement of some sort. So, okay, great. Thanks, Lee.
Okay. Anything else on that? All good. Next item is for the town.
There was a request from the highway committee for, an amendment to the Finnegan Road paving project that we approved, at our last monthly meeting, so I'm gonna turn it over to the highway,
Yeah,
committee to spin that out. Stephen did put it all in writing. and-
yeah, everyone got a copy of the most recent estimate and what we discussed at the monthly meeting. Those numbers were preliminary, so this is the realistic numbers, so we'd like to amend that vote and update it with this. So I'd like to make a motion to update the Finnegan Road construction project to a tune of $225,125.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried.
Oh,
See how you do that?
we'll see if the next one's so easy.
Yeah, good luck. You're on.
On the village side, I have listed to approve recommended upgrades to the village computer network. You got a package that came through Sally with our service company that maintains our computers and systems. Anybody want to speak to that, or Ann wants to speak to that?
Sally. And he went through and he clearly what the proposal they came was that it seems to us to make really good sense to keep it all in one place for this better. Continued monitoring of how our systems are, gets us a lot of our equipment upgraded, not our computers, but our Wi-Fi and our conventions. Internet. So I would make a motion that we approve that proposal they asked me.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
couple of notes on this. We are doing some work here that will bring Wi-Fi out into this room. That's gonna happen tomorrow.
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, that's 2 weeks. That whole other stuff. And then communications and technology is also looking at some other items and upgrades
Yeah.
between the town and the village.
A big thing we're gonna need to get together on is that at present, we have Slick is bringing 3 internet connections in here, one for the town, one for the village, and one for the port. The port maintains that they have to have theirs. The village and the town can have one entry and share it, and then have it all firewalled out and divided out among others. Which we think would be a good idea, it would be instead of paying twice, we can pay once. So, that, the joint communication and technology committee has discussed that. That's just, we were doing, Anna and I and Sally were dealing with just.
Does the police have a separate number? Or was it 4 separate numbers?
No.
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 It's just
So there's some savings to be had. The bandwidth is there for us to line service entrance on fiber and then split it off. So that being said, that is the end of our agenda. Need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of purchase of property, acquisition of property. All in favor?
first.
Anything opposed?
All right, well, we have, we're gonna do our own as well.
You have to do one too.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I need.
so go ahead.
No, but you're right.
Yes.
Thank you.
All in favor down here.
Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session to discuss acquisition. All in favor? Aye. Here.
We're gonna go upstairs.
Okay.
Did-
Upstairs.
Yes. You won't be a lot.
I can be warmer.
Well, you go.
Yes.